It's a Tuesday morning and we're glad to have you with us today because our main conversation this morning focuses on money. The money we make, the money in our pockets, but more importantly, the money we pay to the government in form of taxes. So we are 13 days into the implementation of Nigeria's new tax laws, and yet the controversies and the questions remain. The biggest question we have today is, how does this new tax reality affect the everyday Nigerian? We'll get to that in just a moment, but first, renowned Nigerian writer and global literary icon Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie is mourning the death of her 21-month-old son, who passed away last week in Lagos. What followed her revelation of his death has sparked serious national conversations around medical negligence, accountability, and patient safety in Nigeria's healthcare system. Lawyers acting for Adichie and her partner, Dr. Evara Esege, have formally accused Eurocare Multi-Specialist Hospital in Lagos, its anesthesiologists and other healthcare professionals of medical negligence and breach of duty of care, leading to the death of their son in Kano, Nnamdi. According to the legal notice, the child was referred to Eurocare on January the 6th, 2026 from Atlantis Pediatric Hospital ahead of a planned emergency medical evacuation to the United States. Tragically, he died in the early hours of January the 7th following a series of diagnostic and preparatory medical procedures. The legal notice, dated January 12, 2026, alleges that the child's death resulted from multiple failures in care while he was at Eurocare Hospital.
The parents accuse the hospital and its medical team of serious lapses, including inappropriate sedation with propofol, inadequate patient monitoring, unsafe interdepartmental transfers, lack of essential resuscitation equipment, and failure to obtain proper informed consent. According to her lawyers, while the child was under deep sedation and being moved between clinical areas, it developed severe complications. They allege that he was transferred without adequate oxygen, proper monitoring, or qualified medical escort, and that there were delays in recognizing and responding to the respiratory and cardiovascular distress. The notice further states that the alleged lapses taken together amounted to breaches of accepted pediatric and anesthetic care standards and directly contributed to the child's cardiac arrest and eventual death. The parents are demanding full disclosure of medical records and accountability from all parties involved as the matter moves forward towards possible legal action.
And so in response to the public concern surrounding the case, the Lagos State government has said it's taking the matter seriously. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has directed the relevant regulatory agencies, including the Health Facility Monitoring and Accreditation Agency, to carry out a thorough and independent investigation into the circumstances surrounding the child's death. The state government says it will review clinical practices, compliance with safety protocols, and the conduct of all medical personnel involved, assuring the public that any confirmed violations will attract the appropriate sanctions. And as part of ongoing actions, reports indicate that the anesthesiologist involved has been suspended pending the outcome of investigations.
In response, Eurocare Multi-Specialist Hospital has released a statement. The hospital expressed deep condolences to the family and described the incident as tragic. Eurocare stated that the child was critically ill at the time of presentation and insisted that its medical team provided care in line with established clinical protocols and international best practice. The hospital denied allegations of negligence, saying it is fully cooperating with regulatory authorities and has commenced an internal clinical review of the incident. Eurocare also appealed for patience and restraint, asking the public to allow ongoing investigations to run their full course, and reaffirmed its commitment to patient safety, transparency, and accountability. Now, while investigations and legal processes continue, the family has asked for privacy as they grieve. Beyond this heartbreaking loss, the case has reignited urgent conversations around patient rights, informed consent, and accountability within Nigeria's healthcare system. Let's take a look at some reactions.
in 30 December, Lagos, and lost her son, Nkanu Namdi, due to bad healthcare system. AJ lost 2 friends in an accident. No emergency ambulance service. This is for people who say if you get money, you will enjoy Nigeria. We are all poor in this country.
Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie has formally served Eurocare Hospital with a legal notice over her son's death. While negligence is proven, this should be a reckoning for a system where incompetence too often hides behind white coats and fancy hospital names. Accountability matters, exclamation point.
It's unfortunate what happened. This one is UD CHOSP. It's painful and traumatic. I wish her fortitude to bear the loss. May they all heal.
Hey, easier said than done. Chimamanda deserves praise for standing up and demanding accountability. No parent should lose a child to negligence and be met with silence. If Eurocare failed in its duty of care, then the law must take its course. Hospitals are trusted with lives. Anything short of the highest standard is unacceptable. This case should set a clear precedent. Negligence has consequences.
Taking a child who was unwell but stable to the hospital with plans to travel to the US the next day and returning with a lifeless body is an unbearable trauma. I pray that Chimamanda finds the strength and grace to endure this devastating loss. Amen to that.
Oh, la la.
You know, when when I read this story at first, I was really praying that it didn't happen in Nigeria, that maybe the care started in Nigeria and probably culminated in the US. But when I read the full story, I was really dumbfounded. And I started to look at us, like, are we prophets of some sort? Because we still, last week, we did treat the case of a lawyer who lost his wife tragically in childbirth. And, you know, the allegations he made against the hospitals was really damning. How could you provide a stretcher that had no clasp to hold someone who was convulsing and the person fell to the ground and died, you know, through some very funny circumstances? But this is a high-profile Nigerian. I mean, Chimamanda Adichie loves to come to Nigeria, so nobody can tell me that, oh, she didn't like us. That's why she's been, you know, maybe she's aggressive or wanting to fight. No. She is a Nigerian. She demands accountability, and she must get one. Because no matter how we look at medical practice, medical negligence is difficult to prove in Nigeria. Even worldwide, it's a really difficult, you know, thing to prove. Maybe in some more advanced clime, they get some kind of evidence. You know, it's evidentiary. And you are looking at medical practice, doctors, professors. A lot of things are shrouded in secrecy in those kinds of spaces. But if they can't prove negligence, honestly, somebody needs to pay for this terrible accident or terrible loss that the family has suffered, honestly.
I think it's no parents. We never say it enough. No parent should be allowed to bury their children. None. This is between the first and the third comments in reaction said it all. She came for holidays and, you know, left, you know, with something taken from her. I commend Chimamanda. She's a strong woman, but at the same time,
this is not a strength anybody wants to be.
Strong people also break down. And this is not what she was expecting. And I like that she's demanding for accountability and asking questions in spaces where normally we would keep quiet and would accept it as it is the Lord's will. It is not the Lord's will. In this case, it's not. So the fact that she is taking it a step further and insisting and it's been such a... The Lagos State is now involved. It's such a, probably this will be a turning point in all of that. Because I think medical centers, hospitals, especially in Nigeria, have been let to get away with so much for such a long time.
So many things.
And people don't like to the long arm of the law where you say, okay, this will take, there's no point stretching it. Oh, you know, you can always have, you hear people say, oh, you know, you can always have another child. Oh, just leave it, it's the Lord's will, just leave it. Just finding different ways for people to cope. But I think in this case, Eurocare and other institutions who have been, because we have sat on this table, and I keep saying it, if this table could talk about the conversations we've had. We've sat on this table and we've talked about, most recently, that lawyer who lost his wife and was suing the hospital and saying, no, his wife should be alive. The baby is alive. Why is my wife? So we're losing lives carelessly, lives that could have been preserved. We're losing lives carelessly, and we are making excuses for them.
We can't continue to. We cannot continue to make excuses. We need to really move up the standard. No, Nigerians like to pray about everything, even abroad now.
Because nothing else seems to work for us. Nothing else seems to work. They mentioned AJ's friends, lack of emergency response being on ground. It just seems that nothing else seems to work. I've avoided this story because my sister had an operation, and it was from that operation she entered coma, and it was from coma that she passed away. My oldest sister, we're 4, now we're 2. Our local. Me and my other sister, we're not serious people, our local. And we largely believe that medical negligence played a part in her death.
Oh, don't let me, no.
And I always remember going to see her, and I was talking to her, and she started crying. She could hear me, but she was in a coma. That was the last time I saw my sister. And when you look at the standard of care in many hospitals, we are literally, whatever is taking us there, we're still putting our lives on the line.
Yeah.
When we enter a lot of hospitals in this country. And the kind of hospital we'd expect a Chimamanda Adichie to go to is not anyhow hospital. So this is not to say we are sure the hospital is guilty and there's medical negligence, but it's a larger part of a conversation. Yeah. And when you look at all the things, you know, we've spoken about it. I remember I was at Adenike on radio. The process to get a doctor's license removed or revoked is like pulling teeth. Yeah. You have to go through the Nigerian Medical and Dental Council. There are a number of steps. It's not to say it should be easy, because there has to be a standard. But we can probably count on our fingers the number of doctors who have had their licenses revoked, the number of hospitals that have had their licenses revoked. And you cannot blame Nigerians. There were plenty of people who told us to sue the hospital, to take it up. My parents did. That's all on Fanny. It's what God wants.
It's the will of God.
That we should leave it to God.
When my mother died,
and my sister, we fought. I did not speak to my parents for a month.
I can't imagine.
I'm like, if somebody is responsible for the death of your child, there should be consequences. I lost a sister. She lost a son. People have lost friends and family. If there are consequences, if there's responsibility and accountability to be had, then hospitals and doctors who are responsible should face the law. There must be consequences and justice. And I hope that more Nigerians take a leaf from Chimamanda's page. And if that is the situation you find yourself in, please take it to court. Take it to the council.
Making excuses.
Because we do no good for ourselves or for future Nigerians when we allow people to get away with things.
You know, in Nigeria, because there is no accountability, and it's not just, it's on all fronts. Everybody on this table would have one thing or the other to say about medical negligence. Sometimes I blame myself for my mother's death because I kept taking her to hospital. How could you tell me that a woman that has been presenting the same thing, you never did a scan, never checked her, and she had pneumonia, and she had got water had gathered in her lungs for months, Tolu, and then it became what it became. And of course, we lost her eventually. In this country, we need to step up. We need to step up. So if nobody is being held accountable for their actions, especially when it comes to medical practice, then that means our lives are just like, we're just like lambs to slaughter. So anything that happens, we just take it. In this kind, what do you know?
And as we keep doing that, we keep putting people like we're just sending Nigerians to the slaughter. Yes. Because unless there's accountability, unless there are consequences, unless there's justice, we'll continue to send people into the hands. And let's not forget, we all know Nigerians. If somebody is even saying here that even they said Nigerian medical staff are wicked. They have no values to human life. Majority of them have no value or respect for sick people. The issues of negligence is #1 we should all reject. It doesn't even get to the point of losing lives. You've talked about your situation. I've always always see, Nigerian nurses and medical avoid me.
Who are you
avoid me?
Even the medical, even the hospitals themselves. Who are you employing as a support staff? Are you taking the time to go through?
It's like they lack empathy. It's like you're forcing them to do a job. Some of them
have conversations over you as if you're not there. There's disrespect. There's disregard. They believe that they are the ones. Your life is in their hands.
It's in their hands.
You must worship them.
One day I actually sat a nurse down and I told her, I said, do you know what your job really is? A lot of people come here looking for hope, looking for healing, looking for help.
They don't say
when they see you, you are supposed to be someone that
you
calms
represent
them.
Something.
Not saying, I said, look at this person. She's crying with her child. Say, you know, I'm
are
like,
you the first one to give birth?
I'm like, why are you doing? If you know you don't like this job, then don't do it.
If we walk the path of, before we go for a short break, if we walk the path of accountability, we will hold medical institutions and hospitals responsible. They will realize that it's not business as usual, but we have to stay the course. And all these things of us saying it's okay, this is an adaptability thing that is worrying us as Nigerians. We have to throw that thing out of the window. Because the more you adapt to it, the more you are encouraging the bad behavior. And before you know it, we now want to do that government unto ourselves. You want to sit at home and take medication by yourself. Shebi is infection, let us give them antibiotics. Shebi is this. Some people even go as far as going on YouTube to find out what to treat or how to treat for this. But that's because there's a lack of trust in the medical system, in the hospitals in the country. And we should stay the course.
Sorry, Catherine. We'll take a short break now, but when we return, we're breaking down Nigeria's new tax law, what it really means, who it affects, and how it could change lives for Nigerians. Olusesan Okunade, chartered accountant, policy and public affairs analyst, is joining us to make sense of all of this. This is a very important conversation. You need to stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Nigeria's new tax laws were introduced as one of the most ambitious fiscal reforms in the country's recent history, promising to modernize tax administration, plug revenue leakages, and position the economy for long-term growth. Packaged as a bold reset of how government raises and manages taxes, the reforms were presented as necessary, timely, and pro-growth. But before the official commencement, these new tax laws have become the center of intense national debate and controversy. Some analysts warn that if left undressed, the red flags could increase compliance costs, undermine investor confidence, and even encourage capital flight. The controversy deepened when members of the House of Representatives alleged that the versions of the tax laws signed into law may not be identical to what was actually presented by the National Assembly. This led the House to set up an investigative panel to examine claims of unauthorized alterations. Joining us now is Olusesan Okunade, a policy and public affairs analyst, chartered accountant, and an expert in financial operations. He has spent several years working at the intersection of policy, numbers, and everyday impact, which make him well-placed to help us unpack what this reform really means, who it affects, what the gray areas are, and how Nigerians can navigate the changes. Olusesan, we're stealing you from Breakfast Central. Yes, stealing you from Breakfast Central this morning. So for the first time, which will not be the last time, welcome to Jasiri.
Thank you very much for having me. This is my first time on this show, Jasiri. I've seen people from breakfast shows said,
so you've been waiting.
Oh, God, we don't understand it. I said,
we need you.
Just let me be on. No, I'm on transfer to Jasiri this morning, unpacked, and then we'll come back.
We need you.
You guys are doing a very great job, sincerely speaking, I must say. And let me extend my condolences to Chimamanda for that great loss. I feel the vibes. Sincerely speaking, part of the problems, if you've listened to me in most of my presentation, why we are where we are today is because of failures, of consequences for any wrongdoing. So at a time it becomes the norm. It's just like when you see a police officer in front of a vehicle asking the driver to follow one way. So the driver now looks at it as an opportunity to put you in front, and everybody wants to join that train, not minding their life. That's an area, because there are no wrong consequences. So if another policeman looks at it, and the next thing is like, yes, sir, and he allows you to go. So everybody is now looking at the wrong thing as the norm. So when you are coming in an opposite direction, and you park such vehicle down, somebody is telling you you don't value your life. You want them to crash, and you're like, no, this is wrong. And the policeman is looking at you, who are you to challenge me? So the major problem we have is consequential management. And that is why a lot of people will tell you, and that's why some of these are new topic. It's actually giving a lot of discussion here and there. Yep. Because even when the citizen comply to letter and government fails, because it's a two-way thing.
Yes.
You read it even in your prologue. I'm to fulfill my side, and government has to fulfill.
You have to manage the money in trust for me.
If you fail, which has been, you know, the cycle year in, year out. If you fail, what is the consequences for your failure? That is the major. See, if Nigeria must move, we must pick up this issue of consequential management. People must pay the price. People, you hear of instances, people misappropriating our funds, mismanaging our funds, and the next thing we go to court and they return
a portion of the money.
Bargaining, you take 1 billion, you return 100 million, and you fly with 900 million. What are you telling the younger generation?
We have a lot. Thank you so much.
God will help us.
We have a lot to unpack.
Exactly. We have to help ourselves.
Because we have a very important conversation that we need to have. And this one is important because it seems to be the biggest highlight of our new year, and everybody seems to be in it. So there seems to be a lot of confusion or limited understanding of what these new tax laws entail. Because beyond policy documents and expert analysis, the real question is simple. Are Nigerians aware of what has changed and how it affects them? From traders to workers, business owners to commuters, we ask people what they know, what they've heard, and how they feel about the new tax rules. So it's very important that we hear what the people on the streets are saying before we set the pace for the conversation. So let's go to Jasiri on the streets.
Yes, I've heard about the tax law, and I know it got implemented about 5 days ago on the 1st of January.
I've heard about it. I think other countries too pay tax, and they are seeing the advantage. They are getting the advantage.
So according to what I read so far is, maybe for instance you are gifting a friend money, on the narration just put a gift, a refund, or whatever it is.
I heard it's 10% or 20% of any money we receive.
It's quite more or less like a way to make the richer rich and then the poorer more poorer.
I think what the government should do is to explain to the society, to all Nigerians.
Nothing we government bring come, we know the favor, we know the face. So we go face them now. We don't have anything to do with government now. Can you fight government? No.
A lot of people that are not even aware that from January they'll start deducting money. Maybe when somebody goes to the market, as in you buy something, you wanted to pay, you just send money to the person without you getting more knowledge about the tax new system. They will charge you for it.
I don't know the improvement, I just know that they should just remove the tax because it's not necessary.
I can't say I fully understand what the tax law is about. I understand what tax is normally. I understand that each citizen has to be taxed because that is what is building the country, but can't be see where it's going into. But the new implementation doesn't make any sense to me.
They need to enlighten more, to tell us more about it, as in to break it down to people's knowledge. Because them telling us that they are going to charge you maybe when you send money, a lot of people are still finding it difficult.
So many people don't really still understand it up to now, because most people just feel like, because some people be like, okay, once I put a narration or description of my transaction, they will not deduct tax from my money. That's what most people still feel up to now. But as a Nigerian, everybody is entitled to tax. So far you're earning, and you're paying utilities, you're always entitled to tax. They should remove tax. That was me, I would say, because I'm a student. I can't be like sending somebody money and they'll be saying like they'll deduct the money, like tax money. It's not possible.
I'm even praying to God to have more funds so federal government can collect more tax from me.
They're going to be basically taxing every 10,000 naira going to be transferring to somebody. That's going to affect a lot of people. Might be minute, but let's say you have a business and then you're going to be making transactions every day. That's a lot of money that's going to be taxed from you.
If we are paying the tax and we are not getting any benefits from it, that means it's affecting us in a negative way, not in a positive way.
It's not really new to me because I'm a worker, so they deduct money from my salary every month. So it's not really new to me. It's something that's been in the system for a very long time.
All right, welcome back to Jasiri. What do you know about the new tax laws? We had to borrow Olusesan from Breakfast Central, who joins us here today to try and shed light, because when you listen to Nigerians on the streets and what they know about tax laws or their knowledge about tax laws, it's from left, right, center. When we're watching here, we say, huh? Did he really say that? I'm not sure that's part of it. So how do you see, what do you see with the perception of what Nigerians are translating these tax laws to be? Because, you know, it's like, it has a ripple effect. Somebody will take one idea and run with it. Before you know it, me as this Nigerian, I'm educating you like, Sheson, you didn't know her. They play. You don't know that from now on they will. So they claim that knowledge that they have as authentic, and they keep sharing it, and before you know it, the narrative has completely changed. So where do you think we are, like, you know, in terms of understanding
once again, thanks for the opportunity. Let me start here that we are all aware average Nigerian don't want to read, so we want to rely on what this person has said from what he said. So and everybody now acts as a well-informed, educated and specialty or specialist in an area that they don't know. Take, for example, the media space. I'm sure nobody will know Tolu as much as they know those influencers out there. I know the number of years, even Lolo, you've spent in this field to give the right perspective. You sieve information that you actually, but it has gotten to the space where somebody just wants to trend. You know, trending, he knows the right thing, but he feels if that is communicated, that's the same thing Coco is saying, Tolu is saying, Sheson is saying, people won't listen to me. Why don't you let me tweak it a bit and pass that information and because I have those people following me. I have good numbers. Everybody is buying into it. I believed it is because Coco has said it. It's because Sheson has said it. But I have my intention, I have my motive of actually doing that. I think that's the fundamentals of where we have some of this problem in what we have. I will say this, while we are behind the screen, you said one thing that caught my attention. The stamp duty of 50 naira is not a new introduction. But a lot of people capitalized on it. You said POS operators are already saying they are charging them 50 naira additional. There is no additional charge of 50 naira. EMTL fee of 50 naira that has been charged for over 6-7 years now, when they introduced the 2019 Finance Act, is still the only thing is we changed the nomenclature. And I've asked someone who came to say, sir, they've added it. I said, are you telling me what I know or what you think that you know? Oh, baby, this 200 you've been charging is what I'll give to you. I care less. And he says, sir, but that's what some people, I said, that's what they said. But the reality is that, have you been paying this 50 naira before now? He said, yes, on every 10,000 transaction. The only thing they've done is, it's no longer EMTL, it's now stamp duty on every 10,000. He says, sir, so I said, you'll be doing yourself a favor, because nobody is having extra cost to you to charge 200 as against 300 that those people are running with, and you get more customer to yourself. And she was like, thank you for that, sir. And I said, okay, go back and check if there are extra charges on some of those fees. And he said, none. He came back and said, sir, I'll stick with the 200. And every other person was like, you'll be running at all. That is misinformation that somebody is carrying and using that avenue to explore. And I'll say this, I'm not part of the presidential task force, but at least I'm a professional who understand, you know, some of this thing.
Yeah.
And I don't want to speak here. There's one thing for professionals to come do their bit. The aspect of fulfilling the social contract is not in my hand. So that's another conversation, which every one of us have responsibility.
Yes.
Part of your first discussion speaks to that. We should not allow the norm to be, you know, abnormalities to be the norm, and we just take out there. So every one of us must speak to it. But when you talk to this tax law, I see it as we all come out to say we can't do the same thing the same way. I expect different results. They have come to, like, they sat down, professionals, members of those tax reform are called professionals, both in the public and the private sector.
Particularly the private sector.
The private sector, who understand what some of these things should be. Taiwo Idele, who chaired the committee, has been an advocate of saying we cannot continue to tax the masses.
The poor, yes.
The important thing here is that the masses that you are salvaging are the ones that are attacking you because of misinformation.
Yes.
That's one thing we need to address. And who are the people giving this narrative? Before now, you know, those that plays major role on the social content, the content creators, you know, they work on digital space and they've been having cool money without anybody chasing them. Nobody even track whatever they were. I remember there was one that happened between Lagos State Internal Revenue Service and one of the celebrities. And they were like, they are witch-hunting me. And I said, people have track of activities of what it should look like. So the truth there is that, one, the people you are trying to salvage are the people working against you. And when I say the lower income people, from the current tax law that took effect January 1st, 2026, some people are exempted from paying taxes. So if you're on minimum wage, earning as low as 800,000, you are exempted from it. And not just 800,000. There is one thing. Before now, there are reliefs that are given to everybody. Whether you're a low-income earner, you have the NHIS, you have the... there are a few reliefs. The rent relief that just been introduced. You reduce those things from the annual turnover that you have first. And whatever is left over is what is going to be taxed. So you discover that the lower cadre people, as we speak, even those that are asking for narration, somebody that is making 20,000, 10,000, 15,000 a day, accumulate all your funds together. If it is not an individual, if it is a small business, you already have a window where they said 100 million turnover is exempted.
And the majority I want to ask a particular question because it's very important. A lot of people do not, because over the night I was just trying to look at it a little, that what does this tax law seek to do? And I know one of the things that the tax law wants to do is to eliminate some, you know, nuisance taxes. You know, there are, of course, Nigeria, you know, our system doesn't work normally. Sometimes you have, there are multiple things, taxation here and there. What exactly are some of these nuisance taxes? And how will this removal even impact small businesses and ordinary citizens, especially in an economy that is already facing, we already know that we have been facing inflation for a couple of years now and high cost of living. How does this thing help?
Okay, thank you very much. The NTA, the Nigerian Tax Administration, speaks to this to say those different taxes that people have been paying, the federal will come, the state will come, the local government will come, the traditional leader will come. Everybody wants to take a fair share of that little thing that we are having. We now have an harmonized version that speaks to just 5 cardinal taxes people are paying. You have the company income tax, which you can have either as personal or as company. You know, CIT or PE or PIT, whichever way we want to go. We talked about stamp duty, which we spoke to earlier. You talked about the petroleum surcharge that you have. You have the VAT.
But wait, the petroleum surcharge was paused. Didn't it cause controversy late last year as well?
It did. So it's being paused, but they are working around it. One thing I want individuals to appreciate is when you bring in a change. I remember when the Finance Act 2019 came out, it was a tug of war. People were like, no, this will not stand. But after a little while, some of the gaps or some of those things, you see, at times you can put things on paper thinking that will be the reality.
Yeah.
When you put it to test, you start come back on the drawing board and see how we can feel it.
Yeah.
Things need to be done properly. And if we can get this right, so an average person on the road, informal sector that you have there, people are talking about narration. In this office, you will ask me, do you go to accountant and just ask him to give you money without giving the specifics of what that thing meant for? And I've said to some of the SMEs that are out there, you just collect money, you spend without, having proper documentation of what it is.
Yeah.
The government is just assisting you, even though you are thinking within your mind there is an opportunity for them to track you. If you earn an extra income aside your payee, you are supposed to make returns to the government. And a lot of people are asking, why won't that be? Because aside the payee that they deduct from our offices, every one of us gets side hustle.
Side hustle
Side hustle day. You can, but there are room for self-assessment and declaration. And nobody is asking that I'm going to run after you. It's just to say, I'm told you, aside my pay that has been paid in the year 2025, these are income, and you must define what income looks like. People are arguing, somebody is sending 1 million to you, say it's a gift. No problem, we are not after you. Who the 1 million has been sent to, it's your gift. Part away with it. But somebody that is gifting 1 million, we want to investigate that person.
For
what reason are you just gifting Coco 1 million?
Santa Claus.
Because anything that attracts, service for what you have done is considered as an income to you. But they have created the window, and we've educated a lot of individuals. Can you separate your identity
from your business?
From your business.
True. Yeah. That's a good one.
Because if you are able to do that, you want to deal with Olusesan with the service I provide to you. Please don't pay to Olusesan. Pay to Olusesan and Co.
Yeah.
Because I understand the fact that if I am not making up to 100 million and my fixed asset is not up to 250 million, I'm exempted from paying taxes. All I need to do is to make my declaration, and they can see that throughout the whole year, the earnings I have, aside my payee, is just 10 million, which is the company and not me. Is the company entitled to pay that? They said, no, they are SMEs. You have not attained that 100 million. These are few clarities I feel we need to start educating people. When it comes to narration, your accountant here will not just come and say, give me 300,000 there. And he said, okay, no, it's from Jasiri, just be shaken. The first question is, what are you using the money for? Because you need to post accordingly to give ease of doing some of these things. So if they are saying put the right narration, you are not doing anybody a favor. You are doing, because it is now we give room for professionals to assist you. A lot of people are doing, I consulted for an organization, and the MD never knew that what they spent on newspaper and publication in a year was huge as that. When we took over, what we just asked them to do is there must be definite on your PVs when you're doing it, and you discover the number of, and the man said, are people not reading newspaper online? If we must do at the reception, must we buy this much? When even the man that is seated there is with his phone.
More than
reading the newspaper. And he came out with a policy and said, this is what, as small as newspaper and publication. But he never had a clue of it until people start saying, put narration to some of these things. It was
like a wastage.
So those are things, those are areas I feel that we need to have. I've spoken about small businesses. There's a relief that we should have. But majority of the people, which I understand, I'm in that school too. We not want to pay tax because we are not getting value for it.
So it's almost like a chicken and egg situation.
Of course, we all
because
know that.
what is it? What's going to come first? Me seeing the government do better as a government in their social contract to me, and then I can say, okay, I can give you my money to steward for the public good, or me paying my money. Meanwhile, every other Eke, that's my new favorite saying, every other Eke market day, a front page headline is about somebody stealing how many millions, how many billions, and people, Nigerians don't want their money to be part. But let's hold the conversation. We have another part of this conversation we need to take. We're going to take a break on this. What comes first? Nigerians doing what is right, or the government doing what is right as well? Stay with us.
Welcome back. Thank you very much for staying with us in this very important conversation. You cannot run from it even if you want to. You must learn about tax this year. And we have Olusesan still with us, helping us to navigate, you know, these very murky waters that are getting clearer by the day. There is no argument that Nigeria's tax laws needed serious overhauling. I agree. A lot of people that should have been paying tax for years were not paying. A few weeks ago, Taiwo Oyedele, chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform, said that, and I quote, "The implication of not implementing the new tax laws by January 1st, 2026 is that the bottom 98% of workers remain overtaxed. Businesses will miss out on exemptions and will continue to pay multiple taxes, creating large burdens." End of quote. Last week, KPMG Nigeria, a global advisory and professional services firm, published a detailed review of the newly signed tax legislation, including the Nigerian Tax Act and the related laws that took effect this year. In that review, KPMG flagged errors, inconsistencies, omissions, and gaps that it says could undermine the goals of the reform and create confusion for taxpayers and investors alike. The review sparked intense debate, and Oyedele responded by rejecting much of KPMG's critique, saying the issues reflect misunderstandings of policy intent rather than actual errors. You know, and of course our guest is a chartered accountant as well as policy and public affairs analyst. So you'll be able to expatiate on some of these very, when they say the intent, it's just like saying the letter of the law and the law of the law itself, and the intents are different.
Yeah, you see what sparked up, I listened to Wale Ajayi, a professional colleague on a sister station, when it was actually, a lot of us have read through some of these things. There are bound to be maybe administrative errors.
Can I just read out a few? Because I think people don't understand how much KPMG flagged. So they flagged section 3B and C of the NTA, which is about imposition of tax. They flagged section 6 of the NTA, controlled foreign companies. They flagged section 17, section 20, subsection 4, section 21, section 27, section 30, sections 39 and 40. They flagged section 48, that has to do with indirect transfer of ownership of companies or assets. Section 63, subsection 4, section 162, subsection B. They flagged section 72. They flagged section 162. They flagged part 4 of chapter 8 of the NTA. They flagged section 201. I still have a few more.
Thank you very much, Tolu. They flagged a lot. And the question, a lot of us, I've tried to even reach out to Wale. They were part of this. They were part of it.
So does that mean that maybe their concerns were not taken when they were part of it?
If your concern were actually not taken when you were part of that thing, you don't criticize that same thing openly. But what a lot of us said is that you just want to go the route of the social media people to just be seen as doing what. There are way professionals engage themselves, not even what you are part of. You discover that when the presidential task force was actually set up, the big fours, which they are one of them, the major partners were actually asked, send the representative or your best ends.
And let's not forget that Taiwo comes from one of the big four.
One of the big four. So you are like, 3 of you are professionals.
You're colleagues.
You are colleagues. Yeah. So there are ways, if what he is doing is not in sync, you are highlighting some other areas. How much of it? I saw it when he was on the channels, talking about some of the good side, that they're only drawing that out so that people will not fall into the pitfalls. And the fact remains that in as much as you want to bring out the critics, are you speaking to some of the good side benefit that the Nigerian we do in your publication. Not just bringing out, identifying those errors without, in fact, you know the way you balance some of this communication as you have in journalism is to have a balanced act. That's when you bring in your guest. You want to have somebody who is actually talking from the other side and this one is supporting it so that people can be well informed. And that's why a lot of people, like part of the things they actually brought out, which I went to go and check, this issue of taxes. The intention, like you said, behind the scene, we discussed that on this issue of capital that was moved from capital gain tax, moved from 10% to 30%. If a productive organization who is into production come at the end of the year with the capital they've invested in making production, is doing as high as 30% company income tax, if they are within that bracket, and somebody of equivalent amount decide to take that same fund and put in the capital market and is earning 10% and the other man is paying. Now what the intent of that capital gain tax tends to speak to is, as it is, the same capital that you should have used to possibly invest in production that you are putting, you know, just to as investment as the like. We are going to tax as much as this so that people can be encouraged rather than just leaving funds fallow. Encouraged to see how we can be more productive.
How to return those funds
and put it to use rather than allow it to stay fallow. But
it's my decision how I spend my money.
It's your decision. We agree to that. But the fact remains that on our own part, we feel that you cannot earn so much when somebody is laboring hard with the same equivalent of fund. That's why somebody like Dangote will tell you, a lot of people decide to take their capital offshore. I decide to apply my own back, even though with the challenges that we have. Do you know there are other benefits from what he's doing against the other person that is investing offshore? Is creating employment to reduce the pressure that we have. There are other additions of benefits when you invest that same fund rather than just allowing it. We are not contesting it that you should not allow it to be what you want it to be. But what the intent from what you said is to see how productive can we be. You have the funds. And that's why they created those reliefs to say, okay, you are doing 20 million, you are doing 30 million, you are doing 40 million. We are not concerned about you. When I see a lot of calls that I get for people, they say they want to go into my account detail. In fact, on the 25, on the 26, people are saying, I say, oh, but come, you told me you don't have money. Why are you concerned about them coming to money?
But wait, I need you to clarify that because that's a massive question. There are people who think that government will actually be able to enter into your accounts behind your back and withdraw money.
Nobody is going to do that. Even the particular one that they picked up Taiwo on, they don't have, even when it's confirmed as an organization that you have failed in paying your tax, there are legislative processes that must be followed
before they can garnish.
And I will give you this practical example, which a lot of people may not know about. The current NRS building in Ikoyi on Awolowo Road. Do you know who owns the company? It was former PHCN. When they failed in remitting the necessary taxes to the revenue authority there, Obasanjo gave the approval that with all they are building, so look at something that you can use because they've gone forth and back and they admitted, yes, we are liable for this. So what do you have to compensate for the taxes that you are? But there are legal nobody is coming into your account to plug, to pick money from your account. They don't have that access. Nobody have that access to do those things.
There's no time.
I'm not asking a question, but I think we have to compile and debunk things that we need to debunk. First of all, so that we go, let us speak the language of the street so people understand that this is a no-go area. But I don't think this is a conversation.
No, it's not over. We'll pick a date next week. It's not over. Because we still, as much as two things are sure in life, death and taxes, that's the same, right? But as much as those things are sure, this conversation still comes back to the social contract. And because tax is also mental. If I can't trust you, I'm going to look for ways to not comply.
Just to circumvent it. And you see, I just want to make this request. When next you are bringing the professionals to defend that area like me, let's get those who are in politics, who we are You know, a lot of people are accusing Olusesan, they are already giving you money, Abi. That's why you're advocating for this. I said, is the thing to happen? I want to benefit from the relief that this opportunity is given to me, and I must preach the gospel. But there's one thing, I still generate my electricity. And let me tell you one beautiful thing. I was in engagement with the Lagos State Internal Revenue Chairman, Dr. Subal, last week. There are informations people are not even having out there. Despite people choose what they need to read. Yeah, who are the people you are following on your social media handle? Okay. There is a return that is expected of every organization to make to their subnational, their annual tax return. Some are not conversant with this information. And tomorrow when they now come, they say government is after us.
And then, you know, this is government on multiple levels. People don't even realize how much of this conversation should be about state and local government. We are going. See, you can see that this is just the beginning of this conversation.
But you know, I'm feeling calmer about the tax laws now. Because
don't feel wrong. Let's go.
Thank you so much, Olusesan Okunade, Chartered Accountant, Public Policy and Public Affairs Analyst. Thank you so much for clarifying and bringing insight to this conversation. I know we'll all be watching to see how these new tax laws are implemented and how they impact Nigerians and Nigerian businesses. That's our show today. Tomorrow is another day here on Jasiri. Thanks for staying with us. Goodbye.
Bye for now. Bye.